going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your buddy, it's your pal SpazPhoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and as Wrestling Jesus would say, it's time for a late, out-of-date Raw review. Why is this a late Raw review? Not because I didn't want to do it, not because Raw wasn't fan-fucking-tastic, but because it was so fan-fucking-tastic for me, my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it. Everybody else can go fuck themselves. This show was so good. For me, I wanted the chance to come home from work today and watch it again before I came on here to talk to all of you about it. And yes, I'm smiling. And yes, I'm smiling particularly at all the people that are super negative right now. But that aside, I had a lot of fun with the show for a lot of reasons that will become evident as we go. We started off the show with Hell No versus the Primetime Players in a match that ultimately didn't matter because the story was up in the balcony. Who was up in the balcony? It was The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins disappears from the balcony, and Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose make their way to the ringside as the match progresses. Team Hell No win. There wasn't much to the match. The commentators weren't focused on it. The competitors in the ring weren't even really focused on it, and the audience was obviously focused in the balcony, as they should be. Team Hell No win. Shield ambushes them. 3-on-2 advantage, 3-on-2 brawl. They get beaten down. The members of Shield on the outside trap Kane's arm between that groove in the ring steps and the ring post itself, because you know where they meet up with each other, and do a really good number on his arm. Then they triple team Daniel Bryan, ending in that triple power bomb that they do. Fun way to start the show, and I love it. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. I love when we start Raw with a match, even though ultimately the match itself didn't matter. We didn't start off with 20 minutes of people talking off the top, which, even if it's CM Punk, gets old after a little while. We also get the announcement that it's going to be a Big Show and Dolph Ziggler versus... I can speak, I swear. There's way too many S's in this. It's going to be the Big Show and Dolph Ziggler versus Sheamus and John Cena. It's announced as if it's going to be the main event, but it was really the first hour main event, which is kind of funny, but whatever. We see John Cena and Sheamus in the back, and they're doing a whole bunch of, you know, super family mutual ass-kissing that makes you want to vomit, but it's what they do. Next up, we have Tamina versus AJ. Two new... I don't want to say new, but newly resurging members of the Divas division, thanks to, think about it, this is the aftermath of the AJ Cena scandal. Oh, the AJ Cena scandal sucks, but we have two brand new Divas that gave us a hell of a match tonight. Tamina's big, strong, imposing, powerful. We're not supposed to think that AJ has a chance, so obviously they play up the power versus speed thing. AJ's going nuts for a little while, and what I have written down here is AJ was scrappy through the whole match, whereas, you know, Tamina can obviously brush her off like she's nothing, but every time she does, she, you know, primal scream Melina style, and goes right back at her again without, like, AJ had no reverse gear, I'll say that. Tamina works out a wicked-looking over-the-shoulder backbreaker and a jumping headbutt, which I can't really describe any other way than just get the fuck down headbutt. AJ outquicks Tamina at the end with a roll-up. AJ gets the win. AJ's first match on television in I don't know however, and she got the win. I'm a happy kid. Moving on, we have Punk and Heyman come down to the ring with the new, improved, you know, upgraded WWE encyclopedia. Obviously, Heyman talks about how there's not enough about CM Punk in the encyclopedia. There's not anything about how he just surpassed John Cena in WWE title reigns. He's the longest reigning guy in the current era, which... I guess the current era is the last 25 years, because that's what they're referring to. That's the period of time they're referring to, is the last 25 years, because he's tied with Cena, and as of today, he goes one day past Cena, or does that happen at midnight tonight? Anyways, bottom line, by the end of the week, he will have beaten Cena, which makes me a happy kid. Punk gets on the mic, talks about how he's been unfairly persecuted because of the whole Shield thing and the whole Maddox thing and whatever. Claims he has nothing to do with it. Talks down to the crowd how he belongs on wrestling's Mount Rushmore. Protests his involvement in the TLC match in 2 weeks. goes into a big long spiel about how his reign has been over a year now and all the fans boo him because they can't hold a job or stay in a relationship for as long as he's been the WWE champion, which was awesome. He starts pointing out people in the crowd. Hey, you baldy. Hey, you fatso. You couldn't keep a job. You couldn't even hold on to a woman as long as I've held on to this WWE title. It was fun. And then he runs down once again, which I always love when CM Punk runs down. These are all your heroes that I've beaten. Obviously, it starts with John Cena, but then he goes to Rey Mysterio, and then he goes to Triple H, and this person and that person. And it's all good. And, you know, the fans like to blame Paul Heyman and Brad Maddox and the members of the Shield. It's all lies. And I am the only reason you guys turn into this petty 3-hour show. Not quite so sure about that, seeing as there's already a lot of people that aren't too high on the 3-hour show layout, but whatever. Gets cut off. Oh yes, I admit my bias up front. Gets cut off by my boy, the awesome one, The Miz. Oh yes. Miz begs the crowd not to leave just because CM Punk is talking, that they should sit and stay and enjoy the show. Tells Punk that nobody believes him. We know he's behind Maddox and the Shield, and takes a bunch of pot shots at him. Punk tries to banter back at him. There's nothing really to note in what he says to The Miz, other than he refers to him as Mike a lot. Miz lays out the challenge. Come on, Miz TV, and prove yourself with a polygraph. Heyman cuts in, says he's not going to become part of Miz's 3-ring circus. Miz calls Heyman a walrus and offers him a fish, which leads to the entire arena breaking out in a raucous walrus chant. Yes. Very, very nice. Miz basically caps off this segment by, I'm challenging you to come to me and bring the best pipe bomb you've got. Love it. Absolutely. Cena and Sheamus versus Show and Ziggler was what you would expect. There was a lot of Supermaning from both of the Superman. There were loud Cena sucks chants in this match. Cena fails to do a body slam on Show and gives Ziggler the opportunity to do that whole like shower of elbows thing that he does. The Show and Sheamus portion of this match is ridiculously slow and boring, as you would expect. Ziggler wears down Sheamus with a nice, tight-looking sleeper, chokehold, whatever he was doing. And here's the thing. People, haters, whatever you want to call them, bitch out Ziggler because he uses the sleeper. And yes, generically speaking, in wrestling, in psychology, in the put together of a match, a lot of rest holds ruins a match. But not when it's Dolph Ziggler, and at one point one of his finishers was the sleeper. Wake up! Your biases are showing. At least I admit mine. Cena gets the hot tag, 5 moves of doom, attitude adjustment, and white noise on both of their opponents at the same time, and the super team gets the super bullshit win. But it was a nice showing by Ziggler with 3 other guys that I could give a crap less about. Sandow comes out, and he continues on with the whole apprentice search gimmick that he's been doing, which I love the apprentice search thing. It's great. Like I said, I probably should have jumped on the sandwagon a bit sooner, but, you know, I'm on there now, and Sandow's, you know, he's doing what he's doing. Basically, it's the same thing as he did on SmackDown. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. If you can answer these 3 questions, you might have the opportunity to be my apprentice. You know, what is H2O? And the guy says it's water. And who was the first president? And the guy says Washington. And then he did some big, long, supposedly well-known quote from a poet or whatever. I didn't write it down because I really didn't give a fuck, but honestly the guy didn't get it, and that was the main point of it. Is, yeah, you get an easy question, you get an easy question, I throw a hard question at you so I can make fun of you. It's simple, but it works, and that's, I think, ultimately what brought me around to Damian Sandow, along with, you know, him going after Cena, which is always good. He says, you're an ignoramus, you get the Idiot of the Day award, and as he's leaving, this is the soundbite that is going to live on through the rest of this gimmick, I'm sure. He says, remember, ignorance is curable, but stupid is forever. And as if he knew that quote was specifically for him, out comes Santino Marella. Trying to tell riddles, trying to tell jokes, trying to do all the stupid Santino stuff. We come back from break, it's Santino versus Sandow. I wrote down what happens in the match, everything that Santino usually does that I can't stand, all the goofball bullshit, fails. Eventually Sandow gets the terminus and Sandow gets the win. That's really all that matters in this case, because if Santino had won, I would have been a very, very sad boy. Moving on. Vicky and Dolph backstage, and Dolph's demanding a rematch with Cena at the TLC pay-per-view. Vicky says that she's losing faith in Dolph. She doesn't know if he can do it. He's ridiculously offended and pissed off, but she signs the match. Anyway, and then she goes into her office, and Brad Maddox is there. He wants a contract. He wants a match. Vicky gives him a match, tells him it's going to be against a mystery opponent, and tells him that it's going to be great TV. I don't know about you guys, and I'll put it out there. You can put it down in the box below. When I saw this backstage segment, I thought he was just going to get ragdolled by Ryback again. That was my immediate, you know, with the supposed tie that he has to CM Punk. I think storyline-wise, a lot of people thought he was going to fight Ryback again. Or, I guess, get beaten by Ryback again is the more appropriate thing to say. But gladly it wasn't, and we'll get to that later on. Sin Cara versus Alberto Del Rio, and here's where all the YWC know-it-alls come out and say, we've seen this match before, we're gonna ignore the fact that it's fucking awesome and a lot of fun to watch because we've seen it before and that's what we're supposed to say. But I'm not going to do that because I love this match. Anyways, fast-paced. We had a lot of, you know, this might be just me, but we saw a little bit more of an aggressive side of Sin Cara. We got the constant... We've got this constant new aggressive side of Alberto Del Rio, made for a more, not hard-hitting, but hard-hitting in the sense that a luchador match usually isn't the most hard-hitting. It's, you know, everything's very fluid, everything's high-flying, everything's more spectacle, so you don't expect them to necessarily be the most hard-hitting matches in the world, and this one was, and I liked it. Alberto Del Rio obviously tries for the mask to get the cheap heat, whatever. Sin Cara, interestingly enough, starts working over Alberto Del Rio's arm, which is a little bit of reverse psychology. I like that. Sin Cara, once they're on the outside, runs the apron, lands a head scissor on Alberto Del Rio into the guardrail, which was very, very nice. Top rope DDT also by Sin Cara. Del Rio reverses whatever... This was probably a botch. Whatever submission Sin Cara was trying to go for near the end gets reversed into the cross arm breaker, and because Alberto Del Rio is literally higher on the card, he gets the win. But this match was a lot of fun, and I don't take anything away from either guy, unlike the rest of the YWC, who probably takes a lot off of both of these guys. Moving on. Not going to spend a lot of time on this because I really didn't like how this went down, and I didn't like how it went down last time it happened, so I'm going to skim over it very quickly. We had Vince come back, make his return with not very much forewarning. Usually they tell us, like, you know, the week before if Vince McMahon is going to be on the show, etc. So I guess they can pop those buys or pop those ratings or all that other bullshit that some people care about. Where basically Vince talks down to Vicky and basically treats her like a child until she makes the announcement of the match that he wants her to announce. He announces that Cena versus Ziggler at the pay-per-view will be a ladder match for Dolph Ziggler's Money in the Bank briefcase. Going to tell you why that's an awesome thing later on. And they switch topics over to the lie detector test that's going to happen on Miz TV later tonight. And if CM Punk fails the lie detector test, Paul Heyman will have to face Ryback next week on Raw. Interesting little wrinkle there. Up next we have Brad Maddox's, I guess, WWE's version of a gut check. Just saying, but it's against Orton. He gets owned. All I have written on the page here, if you could see it, if you can, I don't know if you can see that or not, but all I have written on the page for this match is ha ha ha, Orton wins. And after the match, once again we see Shield. Shield comes in after Orton beats Maddox and beats the living crap out of him. The thing I like about the Shield, and yeah, they're doing the typical run-in thing, they're doing the typical, you know, 3-4 man beatdown thing. It's always after the match. I mean, with the exception of what happened on the pay-per-view, clearly. But they waited until after Hell No got their win, beat them down after the match. Orton had already gotten his victory, his win over Brad Maddox, if you can call it a victory, and then they beat him down. I have a feeling, and this is a prediction on my part, that element is going to fit into their whole, you know, we're looking for justice thing. That's a prediction on my part. I could entirely be wrong. In the back, Dolph Ziggler confronts Vicky Guerrero about the ladder match, compares her to AJ, says she's just as immature and power hungry and da-da-da-da-da, and storms out. Heyman comes in, stares her down, walks out. Cena comes in, and I will admit this was kind of funny, sarcastically thanks her for the Money in the Bank briefcase opportunity at TLC. Says, hey, I never thought I would say something like this, but thanks, Vicky Guerrero. And okay, that was kind of fun, and, you know, John Cena wears sarcasm well. It's just somebody usually forgets to tell him that he's a face. Moving on. Kofi Kingston and R-Truth versus Antonio Cesaro and Wade Barrett. Now, this was supposed to be a tag team match, and then Teddy Long came out. And get this, guys. Get this. I want you to process this for a second. Teddy Long came out to not make a tag team match. Whoa. Just saying. Anyway, says that instead of a tag team match, it's going to be a fatal four-way match because we have two mid-card champions in the match. The WWE Universe is going to decide which title is going to be on the line. So they go to commercial break. People are tweeting and touting and texting away. The WWE Universe decides that Antonio Cesaro's U.S. title will be on the line. It's a great match. Fatal four-ways are a lot of... We get a lot of triple threat matches. We don't get a lot of fatal four-ways, which is funny because at one point they had a fatal four-way pay-per-view. The majority of this match is carried by Barrett and Kofi, who really, really work well off of each other, which I never would have expected if you told me that a month ago. But anyways, like I say, there's a lot of stuff between Barrett and Kofi Kingston. There's one point where the only two people in the ring are Kofi and R-Truth, and I guess WWE was supposed to make this out to be like a big moment. The announcers tried, the guys in the ring tried. It's supposed to be, oh my god, these partners are going to fight each other. But that's what happens when WWE is full of thrown together tag teams. Nobody has any investment in the teams, so that oh my god factor is moot, is not there. And their entire exchange is very underwhelming because they're both faces, they're both trying to get the crowd riled up, but it's a lot of missed splashes and missed drop kicks, and it's just like, and they just, thankfully other people come in and save the match. Kofi springboards off the steps on the outside, trying to clothesline Antonio Cesaro. Antonio Cesaro counters it with an uppercut, catching Kofi in midair. It was a nice little spot there. Antonio Cesaro put him in the half Boston Crab, but he didn't just lock it in like a typical submission move. No. Grabbed him by the leg and airplane spun him a couple of times. Now, I've heard a lot of people already in the one day that it's been since Raw say that this was a really goofy spot, it was unneeded, etc. But think about what he's actually doing to his leg. Think about the stress and strain and torque that he's putting on that knee to immediately set up for the submission that he's about to try. It actually makes a fuckload of sense. All the people out there that are looking for things to hate on Raw and trying to twist positive things that make complete sense into negatives just so you have an excuse to be negative, just so you can be bah and follow the rest of the herd down the road as they hate WWE because that's the cool thing to do right now. Take a second look at this and look at why it entirely makes sense. Anyways, basically it's a three-man match because anything R-Truth did in this match was irrelevant. Oh yes. There was a Tower of Doom suplex in the corner. Kofi powerbombed Wade, who was suplexing R-Truth. It was a nice little spot there. Antonio Cesaro, after a whole clutter of finishing moves, hits the neutralizer on Kofi, and Antonio wins the match, obviously retaining his US title. Miz TV with Punk and Heyman. As they're setting up for the lie detector test, I say this as a fan. I say this as a guy who loves CM Punk on the mic, usually. Every shot he threw at The Miz was super lame. Each and every one. Your suit sucks, and you need to go back to wrestling school, and But it was drowned out by a bunch of walrus chants directed at Paul Heyman anyway, so that's fine. So they're setting up the lie detector test. Miz explains to CM Punk that they need to get a baseline, so I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions that we already know the answer to. What is your name? CM Punk. Have you been the champion for 379 days? Yes. At the 2010 Over the Limit pay-per-view, did Rey Mysterio shave your head? CM Punk just sits there and pouts and festers while Miz is smiling his ass off, and it's great. Yes, he did. At the same WrestleMania where I beat John Cena, did you lose to Randy Orton? And Punk tries to come up with a couple of reasons why it's okay that he lost to Orton. I lost in spectacular fashion. And it's like, okay, Punk, you're having an off night, and now you just sound like an idiot. Miz stops the questions to ask him to please not get excited. We don't want to get a false reading for Paul Heyman's well-being, etc., etc., and leads the crowd in more walrus chants, which made me laugh. Can you defeat Ryback at the pay-per-view? He says yes, and it sends a big spike up the polygraph, which also made me laugh. The final question was, are you working with Maddox and the Shield? And as soon as that question is asked, Paul Heyman, who's brilliant at what he does, looks absolutely terrified. Punk freezes in mid-sentence, and Miz gets jumped by the Shield. Whatever. Shield jumps the Miz, they hit the triple powerbomb on him. Hell No comes out to Miz's aid, which is really funny to me watching baby faces come out to help the Miz. Because he's been a heel so long, and he's so hateable, and he does what he does, and whatever. So that's really funny to me. Ryback eventually comes out, joins the brawl, da-da-da-da-da. Eventually, Punk kicks Miz out of the ring. He's standing all triumphant. I'm the champion, da-da-da-da-da. Ryback comes back to the ring, hits a shell shock on Punk, and just because it's the TLC pay-per-view, hits him once with a ladder, hits him once with a chair, and puts him through a table. Fine and wonderful. He looks all rawr. He's snarling like an angry whatever, trying to look dominant over CM Punk, and that's how we end the show. Now, what next? What next? What do I want to talk about next? We want to do the typical shit, the score, the fail, the MVP, the Fave 5, the shit list, all that fun stuff. Sure, why not? In the score column, and in the column of things that I absolutely love, primetime players have new music. Not that it mattered tonight because their match didn't matter, but it's cool to see the primetime players got new music. The Shield taking out Team Hell No. I like to see them attacking somebody that's not associated with CM Punk, because it gives them an identity outside of being CM Punk's lackeys, which when you're brand new in a company, you don't want to be labeled as just somebody's backup, because character development from there forward would be harder. So that was a good move. And eventually when they came in, they took out The Miz, they took out Randy Orton, they did this, they did that. Although Randy Orton had a tie-in to Punk because he was facing Maddox, and obviously Miz was getting in Punk's face. I like to see them having multiple targets, because instead of just being like, oh, well, CM Punk's our boss and you're fucking with him, so we need to take you out. No, they've got multiple targets. They've got multiple hits on their hit list, so to speak. And I like that. It gives them dimension. It gives them, even though they're the heels and we're not supposed to back the heels, it gives them a struggle as the new guys to have a lot of guys pissed off at them. Miz calling out Punk, and Miz taunting the fuck out of Punk throughout the entire polygraph thing. I know it's not going to happen in WrestleMania season because Punk is, firmly entrenched in that triangle of Punk, Cena, Rock. After WrestleMania season, Punk, Miz, whether it's for the title or not, needs to happen. It's just what I'm saying. Tamina versus AJ. It was a fun match, and it was the exact product that I've been speaking of for weeks of the AJ Cena scandal that everybody else seems to be hating on. This match tonight made me feel better about everything I've been saying about, that issue, whatever. That and, the Ziggler-Cena match that's going to happen at the pay-per-view. Where am I? I like Brad Maddox. I don't know why yet. I don't have a solid reason as to why, but I like the Brad Maddox character. The United States Championship Fatal 4-Way match, regardless of how it came about, people aren't a fan of the Raw Active, and, hey, we're going to defend the U.S. title because the fans told us to. It's kind of weird how we got there, and I know I said R-Truth wasn't really relevant, but the way I look at it, I got a really, really good triple threat match with R-Truth on the side. I can live with that, and if I look at it in those parameters, it was a fun match to watch. Fail. The John Cena and Sheamus ass-kissing session that they had in the back, I just could have done without it. As well as the the Superman, put Cena in a match, he's going to win. Put Sheamus in a match, he's going to win. Make them a team. You might as well not cheer for anybody else, because nobody else is going to get the win, for sure. Sheamus' new t-shirt, and I don't even know why I'm putting this on the list, because I shouldn't care. But the whole, oh, he does the brogue kick, let's give him a shirt with a footprint on it. Goofball t-shirt. Moving on. I said it before, the awkward Vince and Vicky segments. I'm not saying I'm not going to come up on here like a big ranter and say, oh, Vicky Guerrero deserves better, damn it. But it's just, they're really awkward and they're uncomfortable to watch. Vince and Vicky's segments, for me, are more uncomfortable to watch just because they are so bloody awkward than the Paul Heyman fake heart attack segment. That's what I'll say about that. And here's the other thing I'm going to say. The United States champion beat the Intercontinental champion tonight. Now, that's fine. Champion versus champion matches happen. Now, the U.S. title is in the toilet. I mean, Antonio Cesaro is a fun guy to watch, but he's new. The investment in him is minimal, and the investment in the U.S. title from virtually all of us is almost nil. So to have him go over the Intercontinental Championship when a lot more people are on the Kofi Kingston bandwagon, and a lot more people, especially in the last few months, have had a lot more investment in the Intercontinental title, didn't sit right with me. Also, we know the WWE polls, the Raw active things are fixed anyway, so why is WWE putting out there the idea that people give a shit more about the US title than the Intercontinental Championship? It doesn't make much sense at all. So in a sense, not in a big way, not in a way that I'm going to scream from the rooftops, but I think the Intercontinental Championship itself, not Kofi Kingston necessarily, but the championship itself got a little buried tonight. Will it recover? Absolutely. By next week, will the effects even be felt? No. I'm just putting it in there because personally I didn't like it. Now, the shit list. Oh, the shit list. Cena got a bullshit victory tonight. Sheamus got that same bullshit victory because they were in the same match. Santino Marella lost, makes me a happy kid. Brodus Clay was completely absent, and that makes me an even bigger happy kid. Oh, yes. Big Show lost. Makes me a happy kid, but he lost to Cena and Sheamus, so it's not that happy. Randy Orton destroyed Brad Maddox, but got destroyed by the Shield, so do they balance out? I don't know. That's for everybody else to say. Miz called out Punk and just owned him. Verbally, I'm going to say this right now, and it's going to get me shot, and I know you're all in denial, and I know you're all on the bandwagon. I am too. I'm a fan of Punk. I am a big fan of his reign, and I hope it doesn't end anytime soon, but listen to me very carefully tonight. On the mic, in the battle of words, Miz punked out Punk. There, I said it. Ziggler lost in his match tonight, but gained a main event level spot at the pay-per-view, so lost the battle, won the war. Rhodes is still injured, so he's not on the show, so he's losing the battle. Period. Punk got owned by Miz on the mic tonight, but still stands tall at the end of the night because of all of his backup until he runs into Ryback. But he's still got a record-breaking world title reign. He just surpassed John Cena. He's doing all right. MVPs. I have two. And big surprise, they are AJ and The Miz. If you want to know why, rewind this video and watch it again. Now, I'm going to give you a warning. I'm going to give you a warning right now. The fact that I'm doing this on a Tuesday means that I've been into the dirt sheets, which I don't always do, but somebody said to me today on Facebook, hey, you might want to check this out. So I'm going to tell you right now, listen to me very carefully. If you don't like spoilers, turn the video off now. Alright, so CM Punk was injured sometime over Raw with his interactions with Ryback, etc., etc. Tore a meniscus, something in his knee, whatever. Now, WWE wants him to be facing The Rock at the Royal Rumble in January, so they're going to protect his ass in the meantime. Good for them. I applaud them for that. But it means, A, there's going to be no WWE Championship match at TLC, and B, what do we do with Ryback? It has been announced. It was announced live at the SmackDown tapings tonight. The match will be replaced by this match. Ryback and Team Hell No taking on The Shield at TLC. The stipulation has not been announced yet, but I like this for a number of reasons. It takes Ryback back out of the title picture, which a lot of people don't want him to be in anyway, including me. There's no way this match is going to be a main event. there really isn't. Shield is brand new. Tag team champions, yes. Hell no are the tag team champions, but the tag team championships are not main event titles, regardless of what anybody wants to tell you. Ryback on his own is not enough to make this a main event pay-per-view match, which means Cena versus Ziggler is going to be the main event at TLC, their ladder match for his briefcase. Why do I like this so much? Adding in the ladder match stipulation for the briefcase solidifies, in my head, anyways, and in my set of logic, Ziggler's going to win at TLC. Why? Because John Cena does not need the Money in the Bank briefcase. He's already failed with a Money in the Bank briefcase already this year alone. The guy's held 11 or so world titles. He doesn't need the Money in the Bank briefcase. I can't see WWE giving it to him again. And we know, going into the new year, going into WrestleMania season, he is going to be in that trifecta that I talked about before. In some way, shape, or form, it's going to be, you know, Cena, Punk, and The Rock swirling around each other heading into WrestleMania in some form or another. Why the hell do we need to bring John Cena into the World Heavyweight Championship title picture? A, they're not going to have him go for that belt. B, Ziggler deserves and needs this push more than anybody else I can name on the roster right now, and that's including my boy The Miz. And just, it makes sense to me. And it'll be the perfect way to cap off Ziggler's year. I know going into the new year they want to have some big thing between Ziggler and Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship, possibly going into WrestleMania. So there's no way Ziggler's losing the briefcase, which means there's no way Ziggler's losing the match, which means the way Dolph Ziggler's year is going to end is going to be defeating John Cena in the main event of the last pay-per-view of the year. And for a guy that started this year going for the WWE title against CM Punk in a fantastic match, even though it was overbooked, and then making a tremendous effort in the Royal Rumble match itself, having reasonable success throughout the rest of the year, retiring Chris Jericho, etc., 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 you know, being on the winning team for Team Johnny at WrestleMania. Everything else, the perfect way to cap it off is to dethrone the golden boy of the WWE. That is... Ziggler's success is why I'm happy that Raw has a 3-on-3 main event at TLC. If you can follow that, if you follow any of the bullshit rambling that I just spit out, that's great, that's wonderful, you get 5 points and a cookie. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep this conversation going. Tell me what you think of Raw, because I don't think anybody that I watch on a regular basis is reviewing Raw anymore. Keep this conversation going, don't be a stranger, I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye.
Get up, come on.